Let's be honest, fasting doesn't feel the same every day. Some days you feel energized, and other days you'll feel dizzy or tired.
Most people forget to talk about the most important muscle in the body, which is the heart. So that's what we will be speaking about today.
Hello, it's Coach Rida from Spark Hawali.
Hi, this is Aurélien from Spark HQ.
And today we're going to talk about how to protect your heart during fasting. So during fasting, what's the biggest change you feel or you experience with your body or your energy?
So when you're in a fasting state, your energy is not busy with digestion. So the energy is going to the brain or to the muscles. So actually, and I'm sure many of people who are listening today have experienced that when you do train, you get a better pump when you're fasting because there is not the blood flow going to the stomach and everything for digestion. However, it's going to the muscles, going to the brain. So there is definitely scientific explanations behind it.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you said is so true about the mental. And I think the change we feel is more about the mental aspect more than the physical, especially during the first a couple of days. With time, we start to feel like lighter and we have the more energy during fasting hours and after we fuel ourselves.
So those people who think that fasting puts you in a low energy state, they definitely forget one fundamental thing is that the human body is like extremely intelligent and can handle the energy source, whether it might be food or water, very intelligently again. So it's definitely not about, okay, I skipped a meal, then my energy level will go down. No, there are a lot of people who are fasting on a yearly basis, people who are just on a OMAD, one meal a day, and who are just like performing at their best. So human body is incredibly intelligent and can handle a source of energy in the best way.
Members, when they start like fasting, especially during the first week of Ramadan, they think they will be weak, they won't have the energy. By mid-Ramadan, they will surprise themselves with their energy level and how their performance is at the gym. And this is because the body adapts, as you were saying.
Exactly. And there is a very strong psychology aspect. So people, I think we can categorize people in two groups. So people who think, actually by ignorance, they think that being deprived from food and water will affect them negatively. So that's wrong, but they are being affected by these thoughts and they are not performing at the best. They are like going to the gym, working out and thinking, okay, I didn't eat, so obviously my performance is gonna decrease. And people, another group, and we hope to be part of that group, who are convinced of the positive effects of fasting and who are convinced that they can even break PR or perform at their best in a state of fast. So they're not being affected by some negative thoughts, thinking, okay, did I skip a meal or whatever, so I'm not gonna perform as I usually do. No, it's actually the opposite. They're like, okay, I'm in the fasting state, I'm gonna perform at my best. And they are actually people who did break their personal best or whatever in a state of fasting. Fasting changes your routine completely. Your hydration changes, your sleep pattern also changes. The timings are a bit different, and of course the eating, you go from 3 or 2 meals a day to only 1 meal or maybe 2 for some people. So everything shifts.
All of this forces your heart to adapt, working differently to maintain blood flow and energy levels.
So what changes do you notice in the members you train in terms of performance and stamina while they are during the month of Ramadan?
What I've experienced while training my clients while fasting is that the first thing, as I mentioned before, they think they will be weaker during fasting, especially when they're training during fasting. And they usually surprise themselves within a few days. Of course, at first the stamina is shorter, their energy is a bit less during the first couple of days, but with time, they adapt to the sleep schedule, to their meal times, to their energy levels, and then they get better during training. One more thing I've noticed is that when they shift the intensity of the workouts. If they keep on training with the same intensity, same volume, same weights, explosive power during the first days of Ramadan and fasting, they will notice the difference. Of course, they can train with this with less food, especially on the first days. But with time, they'll adapt, and when they reduce the volume or the intensity of the workout, everything will get better. So from your experience, what do you think is the most common habit that causes stress on the body the most during fasting?
Two major mistakes that people make. So the first one would be inactivity, staying sedentary at home during the day, As mentioned earlier, those people may think that because they are in a fasting state, they don't have a water or food intake, they won't be able to work out as hard as during the other month. So they just stay, don't move too much. And this causes poor circulation, which is not good for the body and the heart. And the second very popular mistake, unfortunately, is overloading at iftar. People have been fasting for the whole day, and they go from a fasted state to one big meal, thinking they need to replace what has been lost or whatever. Again, this comes from a lack of knowledge of the human body, and this causes a lot of stress on the heart, on the human body, on the blood system, who went from a default, let's say, mode to a fasting state. So the body is already exposed to a certain form of stress and needs to adapt. And when suddenly you bring a lot of food, a lot of water, then it creates an additional stress. And this is definitely not a healthy way to go for.
I agree on the inactivity also. Many of my clients usually take the whole month of Ramadan as off from work, and this adds more to their inactivity, and they will be more sedentary during this month, especially while fasting. And this also, as you said, affects their circulation and affects their heart health. Try to move more instead of canceling everything and just staying without any activity during the day. As well as I always notice the increase in sugar intake during Ramadan, especially the sweets. I understand that after hours of fasting, the eye also craves more food and the sweets, and there are so many temptations on iftar. I really understand, but let's try to keep it in moderation. If you just have one or two pieces, just not to deprive yourself. Be mindful while eating, but don't overdo it, overindulge in sugars and salty foods and deep fried items. I think you agree on this.
Definitely. The goal of fasting is also to free yourself from those addictions, from those negative aspects in food. So you free yourself during the day, not to become again, a victim of those unhealthy options, like sugar and other things. So you're fasting, during the day, but it's actually a 24/7 thing.
Yeah. I can also add sometimes we have so many Ramadan drinks that are also loaded with sugars, and people tend to have them on iftar, and their stomach will be heavy and full of liquids and sugars, and they end up not eating enough good nutrients, including proteins and vegetables and everything.
Can you tell us what's a heart-friendly iftar according to you, and why is slow breaking of the fast important?
Okay, so a heart-healthy iftar should be like and slow. Okay, to start with, hydration is the first thing I would recommend people to do. A small soup or something soothing the stomach, okay, with some vegetables, a salad, or anything that's not too heavy on the stomach. Okay, I would prefer if they can split their iftar into two parts, just to give the stomach time to digest, and not, as you said, not to give everything at once. Because I would recommend a meal, a complete meal that contains the good nutrients the body needs, including proteins, carbs and the good fat. Okay.
Definitely agree with this. To me, it all comes down to identifying and being aware of the difference between motivation and discipline. This month is not a sprint. It's more like a marathon, if you want to see it this way. So, motivation goes up and down. Sometimes you have a motivation peak, so you're really enthusiastic to go for it, to go hard for it. But when it goes down, do we stop from training? Of course not. So that's where discipline is critical. So that's what we want to rely on, being disciplined.
Yeah. I always explain to my clients as well that think of discipline as consistency and not as a punishment. Think about the gym as something you're doing for yourself. That's why I always recommend them to listen to their body, do the workouts gradually. Don't overdo it, especially as you said in the first couple of weeks. And then when they lose the motivation, they don't even show up. This is what we're trying to explain to them. This is Rida.
This is Aurélien. This is Spark Unlocked.